So what we've got here are a bunch of correct answers, but here and there, some of them are not correct. And that's unsettling. You've got to make sure in a VLOOKUP, when we're using an approximate match, these must be in ascending order. And you must cover the lower amount. If somehow or other, if we started our table here, and if someone had 24,000, we would get an error here. I believe it says # value or something like that. We don't have to cover the higher end. These are automatically covered. They're going to be 13% if there's any salary above 95,000, any compensation above that. That's going to be fine. So I'm going to change this back again. I'll simply do undo, and any changes that had occurred are corrected. But you've got to be on top of that. And again, don't expect bad numbers there to jump out at you. They won't. Okay, this is an example of an approximate match. If we were using the other table to the right, the function would be very similar. However, of course, the first obvious difference, that would be an H, horizontal, H lookup. Obviously, the address of the table array would be different, but the two would stay the same, but it certainly would mean something different. It would mean the second row of the table array. In other words, the data over there to the right that you see. So, now, by the way, there will be situations when you get a workbook, a worksheet from somebody else, or something maybe you've worked on in the past. If you already have a horizontal table and you've got lots of formulas that are already working off of it, you just can't blithely throw that away. You're going to keep that and maybe work with H lookups instead of a V lookup. So I'm not suggesting that H lookup is invaluable. It's not, and you'll see it too. And there will be times when it could be the better use. Although most of the time, if you are setting up the data, VLOOKUP is likely to be the better choice. Now, it might be more common, and again, we all use Excel in different ways, but an exact match, anytime you're looking up text or if it's an ID number, it's got to be an exact match. Now, with Social Security numbers, you can't say, well, that's close enough. No, it's got to be exact. So we're not talking approximate match. Here's a different worksheet, and you can probably see pretty quickly what we're trying to do, and I'm not quite there yet, but every person in this list has been given a text rating here. We want to convert these into a score based on that table over in column A. Now, one thing I want to do before I get here, I want to go back to the other list just briefly here. I mentioned earlier that we had to make this address absolute. But I think a better way here is to simply refer to the column letters. Now, I mentioned that earlier as a shortcut. Instead of this, what if I drag across columns S and T? That's certainly easier to read. Doesn't mean it's a lot more, it doesn't look nearly as complex. Now, you might be saying, well, doesn't that have to be absolute? If we are only copying this formula down the same column, by inference, it's going to be the same. Now, let me temporarily step aside and press Control-tilde. That was our shortcut to show formulas. And you can certainly see the difference there between these two. This is a lot less complex looking, it's a lot easier to read, and it will work. I'm going to press Control-tilde again, copy this down the column by double-clicking, and those answers are all going to be the same. One caveat here, just make sure there's nothing else in columns S and T. And that's probably going to be the case. That's easy to adhere to. These are a lot easier to read than they were before. In the other worksheet here that we saw momentarily, I'm using that technique out here in cell F2. Now recognize for the moment, fair, which should be a 71, is a 50. So what's not happening here just yet? In this example of VLOOKUP, we have done nothing to indicate that we need an exact match. I'm going to zoom in as much as possible on this too. Make this column narrower so we can see this large and clear. Here's a VLOOKUP in place, but we're not getting the correct answer. Everything so far is correct. We're looking at this value E2. Here's that column reference. That's where the table array is, columns A and B. We want to get answers out of the second column. Column B, that's correct. However, for an exact match, and this is not intuitive, we put in comma, and there's a fourth argument. Excel calls it range lookup. I don't think that says much to most of us. And neither does this thought. False means exact match. Now, did you think that all along? Do you think false means exact match? Well, that's what we do here. You can tab it into place or type it. So false means exact match. Now, yeah, I knew that all along, right? Well, of course you didn't. But that's what we do if we want to make sure that our vlookup is an exact match. So anytime we're looking up data that's text or ID number type, we need this to be an exact match. Now, false works. It will give us the correct answer here. I want to suggest an alternate way, and that's 0. 0 means exact match. Now, is that any more logical? Not necessarily. It's less typing, and false might give the connotation to some people that something failed, so I just use 0. It's just easier, faster. Also, as we'll see in the index or in the match function, 0 means exact match as well. So we have a correct answer here. I'll press Control-Enter and double-click down the column. Anytime you're using exact match, you need a fourth argument, as it's called. 0 or false means exact match. If you don't have it there, the default is approximate match. We could have put in the word true earlier, but we didn't need to. True means approximate match. And again, why? Why true? Why false? A little bit strange there, maybe. Now, a couple thoughts here. If you've got spaces involved here, I'm going to put in a trailing space here after fair. Test fails. Down here between very and good, I'm going to put in multiple spaces. How about a leading space right here? Space or two. These all fail. A quick workaround, short of fixing up column E to get rid of them, is in front of the E2 here, put in the function called trim. Trim gets rid of trailing spaces, it gets rid of leading spaces, and it reduces multiple consecutive inner spaces to just a single space. So I'll complete that. That's going to work just fine. Double click. All these are corrected. So sometimes you might need to use that. Keep in mind, too, that it's not uncommon when you're making these comparisons that you're on a different worksheet, and the table array is a different worksheet from where the data resides. But this cleans up the data in the example here. What it can't do, of course, is if the word or phrase here just isn't in the list. So Travis Bickle, your performance was just plain lousy. Well, that's not in the list. What can Excel do? It can't go to a dictionary and look up the word, although who knows what's going to happen one of these years. But anyway, you see what's happening.
Your audio
exact
again
match means exact match. It's got to be there. Okay, there will be times when you might have, as I said earlier, multiple columns. There could even be times when you're running into situations where vlookup just doesn't seem to work so well. So we've got a couple of other worksheets here with some different situations. Now, I'm going to let's say we imagine here that we've got a Social Security number that's on a different worksheet. And all we're trying to do, at least initially, is to say we simply want to know, does it exist in this other list somewhere? Does this exist in this list? Now, the reason I'm putting them side by side here is so we can readily see what's going on. But this could be on a different worksheet. And I do want to show you at least one example of how you do that, too. But let's say for the moment, we simply want to know if this exists. VLOOKUP is not the best function to use here. We simply, the best thing to use here is the function called match. We're trying to match this value, comma, with a list somewhere else. I'm going to click column C rather than highlighting the data, because we can find anything in there regardless of where it is, no concern about sorting or the order of it, comma. And now we see three pop-ups. One for, let's find the number that's closest to but less than, -1, the value that's closest to but greater than, or 0 for exact match. This is why I use 0 with VLOOKUP too. 0 for exact match, at least some consistency. Is Excel going to find this? And if so, what does it tell us? It found it in the 16th position of where we were looking. So where were we looking? Column C. If it's in the 16th position, then it's in the 16th row. And you can see that. It's Terry Malloy. So this simply tells us that it was found. Now we don't see the phrase found. We could somehow, with an if function, show you that. And if it isn't found, suppose this number is a 1 here, we get this. Now, sometimes that's all we need the match function for. But what if ultimately here what we wanted to do was to find the name associated with this? Now, VLOOKUP cannot look leftward. If we find something, we can't look leftward. And let's imagine this situation is such that this is our master list. It's protected. You cannot change the order of it. In fact, maybe you can't even copy it. So you need to find the name associated with this. Sometimes you'll need to use the index function. Now, I'm not saying that the index function and the match function are always used together, but sometimes they are. And they give us more capabilities when we're trying to look up information from different lists. The index function is based on the concept of there's a table somewhere, a table of data. Actually, the term array is what's used here, so I'll use that too. We've got an array of data somewhere in columns A, B, and C, possibly on a different worksheet, comma. Let's pull out data from that array based on a row reference and a column reference. Which row do we need to get data out of? For the moment, I'll just type in 16, or maybe better yet, why don't I just use the result up here? And which column do we need to get the data out of? Column 1. So row reference, column reference, enter. And it's Terry Malloy. And we can see that down here. Now, although you don't necessarily need to do nesting, and if these functions both are brand new to you, and I'll momentarily press Control tilde so we can, off to the right there, see what they look like. We've got those two in place. Press Control tilde again. Why not take this function, highlight it, copy this portion of it, Control C, escape, double click in here, highlight this data, pop it into place there, Control V. There we go. By the way, a new function in Excel 2013, and perhaps a teaching tool as well, is a function called formula text. I use it from time to time. It simply displays the text of a formula in a different location. And as soon as you see it, you can just click it and tab it into place there. There we go. So that displays it as we look at it here. So, and that's, of course, what we're seeing right here. If I make changes to this, the changes will occur over there, too. There's something else we could do in this situation to make it even easier. And again, I stress, when we're doing this, we might be starting in a different worksheet here. So, something else we might do. At the time that we actually need to come up with the name, we're not really looking in columns A through C. We're looking only in column A. So let's make that be column A. And here's the row reference we need. And because we're only now looking in a single column, we don't need the column reference. Let's get rid of that part of it. So it's even simpler. Now, once again, I stress, if you've never seen match, if you've never seen index, even though by themselves they're not difficult, trying to absorb how you might use those together might be a bit of a stretch here. I do want to suggest, too, in larger Excel books that cover functions and formulas, in all of them I've seen, anytime index is mentioned or match is mentioned, there's always a cross-reference to the other function, because from time to time you'll need to use these together. Now, I did want to point out the idea of using functions on different worksheets. So I'm going to take this data here and just do a Control-C, jump to a different worksheet over here somewhere. Imagine a different situation. I've got a Social Security number out here. I want to see if it exists in the other list. I might want to get the name. So I'll just paste it right here. So how do we do a vlookup or match or any function from a different worksheet? I'm just going to start with equal match, left parent. Here's what I'm trying to match, comma. Where's that worksheet? I'll go down here and find it. There it is right there. Where am I looking? I'm looking in column C, comma. I want an exact match. I put in 0. I press enter. Now, the display there is should be 4 because it's in the 4th row, but what are we doing? Now, I didn't type this. You didn't see me typing it. I simply clicked on the other sheet. So this notation style with an exclamation point refers to a sheet name. And by the way, if the sheet name has a space in it, it'll look slightly more complex. You'll see a leading single quote and a trailing single quote when the sheet name has a space in it. Makes it look just slightly more complex. And going one step further here, equal index, if I want to get this person's name, index, where is that table, or that table array with the names? Back over here. Master list, click column A, comma, and now I got to jump back here and pick up this data right here, comma, or actually no comma here. That's it. Herman Hollerith. There it is.
And
so,
Dennis, by the way, when you have a good break, I do want to get to another polling question or two.
Okay. I think now would be a good time. I do want to, just before the break there, want to mention here, working with lookup functions across multiple sheets certainly makes things a little more difficult, and we're not saying they're impossible, and they certainly are not. But if possible, if you are setting up the lookup table, or if you're trying to compare the information, if it's possible to get them on the same worksheet, do so. It just makes life a little simpler, a little easier. Anytime you've got formulas that deal with different worksheets and even more complex, different workbooks, it just makes life a little bit more complex. All right, I think it is time for one of those questions.
Well, this one's almost complete. We're at about 80% here. We're going to let a few more responses come in, and then we're going to close it down. And I believe from the last presentation, you had indicated there was at least 450. Is that right?
Yes, the number of functions, yes. It's slightly over 450. You know, at different times I counted them, and I thought, this is kind of crazy. I mean, don't really need to know that. But again, it does give you some depth. And when you have that extra moment or two, and we don't really do this, but you know, if you click the Formulas tab, you see different kinds of functions that Excel could be categorizing them as. And by the way, strangely enough, statistical is not in this initial list. You click More Functions, it's there, but you've also got engineering functions. And I often say, if you have the wrong mindset, you're gonna do yourself in here, because you know, when was the last time, for example, that you needed inverse hyperbolic cosine? I mean, it's there. It's one of the math functions there. You know, nobody's going to need that unless you're a scientist and engineer, and certainly those people use Excel. But we're not going to worry about this. Just like we don't worry about all the words in a dictionary. Who has time to learn them all? And yet, of course, you don't need to. And that would be a bad idea to say that too, that you need to know them all. So there are tons of functions out here. Excel. Over 450 of them. All right. Look, a few more functions here, and then we'll have some questions here. So the major lookup functions, again, vlookup by far the most frequently used, and the one, as we said, gets the most requests out on Google to give me some information on vlookup. Its companion hlookup from time to time is going to be used in certain environments, maybe more heavily than others. When they don't always fit the bill for what you need, take a look at match and index, and you'll find some sophisticated uses of those too. They're not always more complex, but often they are. Now, from time to time, you may be working with dates and times, and there are situations where these are sometimes not as well known as others, but I've got a list of data here. I just want to know, maybe this is a real estate company, or maybe it's a company that doesn't have sales every day. Maybe they sell heavy equipment or something like that. We wanted to know what day of the week these appear on. And the function we use here works just fine, although it's slightly disappointing in its answers here. And the function we're about to talk about here is weekday, equal weekday. Now, if the date entries are done with slashes or dashes, as we see in column A, things generally work okay. Click here. Answer is, what day of the week was that? It was Wednesday. Wednesday, well, yes, 1 is Sunday, 2 is Monday, etc. 3 is Wednesday, 4 is Wednesday, of course. There's the answer. Now, every time I see this, I want to instantly, call Microsoft and say, why don't you display the actual day of the week? Well, you can do it pretty quickly, although it's not as direct as you might want. We need to go to Format Cells here by way of Control 1. Control 1 is the best way to get to Format Cells, or nearly always the best way, the fastest way. Number tab, Custom, go right into Custom, and right under the word Type here, and usually, well, not necessarily where you see General, but you'll see something right under the word Type. You put in 3 Ds for an abbreviation, 4 Ds for a spelling. So WED or Wednesday, I put in 4 Ds, there it is. And we can copy this down the column to see what day of the week these are on. That sort of thing. Easy to do. There are some other date functions. By the way, when you are putting in dates here, I strongly suggest make the column wider. It will screen out those typos that we make sometime. Here's for example, is a typo. Maybe I'm adjusting this. This is really the 30th. I just happened to type a 31 by mistake. There is no April 31st. So Excel left aligns the data. Anytime Excel sees a slash or a dash, it evaluates the data with the potential that it could be a date. And if it is, it right aligns it, because what it really does is it stores values here. If you wanted to see those, you could press Control-Shift-tilde, and that's sort of meaningless, but every day from January 1st onward has a value. Normally we don't see the numbers, we don't care, so I'll simply undo that. But there's a value associated with each date. That allows for date math too. A couple of date functions you might be interested in here. Imagine that the project started on May 20th. It's going to end shortly after Labor Day. How many working days is this? First of all, most of you know, if you subtract dates, the later date minus an earlier date, you get an answer. It's the number of days, but it's counting all days, including weekend days. Let's not count the weekend days. Here the function is equal net work days. And as soon as you see it in the list, you can click it and tab it into place. We put in the starting date, comma, and the ending date. It's 77 days. That does not count Saturdays and Sundays, so that's 77. I'll move it over here. Now, if we don't want to count holidays, we've got to have a holiday list somewhere nearby. We've got one over there in column D. So once again, this time also not including the holidays, net work days. There we go. Starting date, comma, ending date, and where's our list of holidays? Now you can highlight just the relevant ones or all of them, doesn't make any difference, so I'll just grab them all here and enter. So instead of 77, it's going to be 74. If July 4th happens to be on a Saturday or Sunday, it will not do a double discounting. It will get it right and count it only once, and so on. So net work days, a valuable tool for calculating working days. In its reverse, you might say project actually started in, or will start in November, 45 days. We've got our holidays over here. And of course, that's near the end of the year. This is called workday. Whoops, let's see what's happening. Okay, something's strange going on my screen here. Maybe I'll do this in a different cell just to make sure here. Well, once again, this is frozen. I think what we probably should do, since I've gone a little bit longer anyway, maybe we'll just shift the focus back to you, the audience, and see if we can answer some questions. And meanwhile, I'll start try and restart Excel. Scott, are we seeing anything on the screen right now? Are you seeing anything?
Same thing you are in terms of it being frozen. I am going to take this time to launch a poll, make sure we have this one out of the way. And the question is, actually let me just preface it. We have a couple of Excel courses currently on our platform and have found that our audience really appreciates the classes and has found great value in it. There are additional classes that we are considering adding to the platform that expand into different areas, and what we would like would be your feedback to see which other courses you think would be most valuable to you. An hour and a half is certainly scratching the surface in terms of Excel. As you can tell, with 400 and something functions, there's so much to be done, and then of course that doesn't even address pivot tables and so many other tools like macros and so forth. So the question here really is so that we can make sure that we're providing you with the highest quality content and the best content that's most relevant to you. And you're not making it easy because you're voting for everything here. Looking at the responses right now, about 50% of you voted. And I was thinking we were going to have a clear winner, but instead everyone's voting for everything, which is, I suppose, a positive sign in and of itself.
Yeah, that's good.
Shouldn't complain. Excellent. So, yeah, the winner here is Excel-powered tips and shortcuts, but only by a very small margin. And I'm sure Dennis could work out the statistical sampling and to show us what the standard deviation is here, but it's not much. We are at about 90%, and I'm going to close this one down. And interesting. All right, yeah, Excel charts and data management were the two lower ones, but everything else is at least 50% of you. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one down. Thanks for responding to that. Again, our requirements for CPE is that you do need to make sure that you're logged in for at least 75 minutes. NASDA's requirement are 3 polling questions. There are certain states that require 4 polling questions, but we will issue credit for 3 responses. It's not a matter of them being correct or not. And Dennis, there were a couple closing comments that I wanted to make too, but would it be better for me to make those now and then save any remaining time for Q&A?
Yeah, and also I did want to, in the Q&A, I wanted to show one other function too, because I said at the very beginning I wanted to bring it out too. But yeah, I think we can make some announcements.
Well, why don't you do that then, because otherwise I was going to switch the screen, so feel free.
Okay. I believe now, and I hope you can see my Excel screen. Tell me when you can see my Excel screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I'm in a worksheet here, and I can't add up the data in column B because I've got some errors. Now, imagine that it's a huge list. I found 2 of them. I could possibly get rid of the data. Maybe I'm going to somehow correct it later, but I'm trying to add the data here. And I'm stopped because I've got some errors in there. Now, imagine a huge list, a few thousand here, tens of thousands, and I've got an error down in row 8,000 or something. I mean, I don't want to go looking for these. I want to circumvent or add up all the data that is valid. Now, if you were fishing around for a function here, I doubt if you'd ever discover this one, but it's really valuable. It was introduced in Excel 2010. So I'm looking for this new function. Where might I go? Formulas tab. I have no idea what kind of function it is. Eventually you might say, oh, well, how about math and trig? Here's aggregate. What does that say? Returns an aggregate in a list or a database. So that's not very helpful. But, in fact, aren't you not supposed to use the word in the definition, the words that you're trying to define? But this is the one we want to use, aggregate. And it's a great tool, and it's long overdue. And I'm going to use it right here, equal aggregate. Now, first thing you see here, once you tab this into place here, or type it, is 19 choices. What is it I want to do? Do I want to do an average, a count, a max, min, sum, etc.? I want to do a sum. Put in the number 9. Now, that's not exactly obvious, but it is. If you've used the subtotal function, you'll see the same numbers, by the way. A function called subtotal. 9 means sum, comma. But here's the interesting part. There are 8 choices here. One of them is ignore error values. Another one, ignore hidden rows. One of them, ignore hidden rows and error values. And we got some other options here too. I'm just going to put in a 6, which means ignore error values, comma. And now, what is it I'm trying to add? Column B. Enter. I've got my answer. It ignores the errors. It simply picks up the good data. There it is. And you just got to, if you're going to be using it frequently, just remember 9 means sum. If I want to do an average over here, this is going to be aggregate, same tool, but I'm going to put in 1 for average, comma 6. The 6 means ignore the errors, comma, and here too, I'm trying to average the data in column B. So it's a long overdue tool. If you don't have this function, if you were using Excel 2007 or earlier, you're going to do a more complex if. With a workaround, it's not easy. This is great. So good function to know. All right, that's it for the things we said we were going to do. I'll turn it back to Scott momentarily.
All right, well, thank you very much. And yeah, we still have an additional polling question left to go. And before we do that, I just wanted to, first of all, Dennis, thank you very much for taking an hour and a half out of your Friday to present and share with us some incredibly powerful tools. And what I have up on the screen here is actually the first page of the PowerPoint handouts that we made available. And Excel and Access LLC have been very generous in providing us with a discount that we can share with our attendees for actually several different offerings, including remote training and on-site training. Some of it can be tailored to you. The third option there, you can see the rates that are listed, and this is, of course, additional resources if you're looking for customization for your particular needs. And I wanted to share that with you, and thank you for making that available, both Dennis and Chris. And what I'd also like to do is launch our 6th poll here. This is our final poll, and it's really just a question to help us understand where you would find the most value in using the resources. One of the most popular videos that we have out of our 160 on the site have been the Excel sessions, and this video is not going to be any exception. We are going to post this up to our library. We'll do that by the end of the day today. I might actually keep the last session on there just because of the audio issues, but if you do happen to go back and watch it, just know that the Excel files are exactly the same, and there'll be a nice clean recording for you available. And you can watch this at any time, and again, you can find this in cpaacademy.org in our archive library session. And a lot of you really stating that the video might be a great help to go back and review, and I could certainly relate to that. So thank you for sharing this, and we also have, let me close this one down, and you can see the contact information of both Dennis and Chris on the screen. Do you want me to go back and convert you to presenter, Dennis? Would that be helpful in going through some of the Q&A?
Yes, because if people still have questions, I want to be able to get to them too.
Okay, and can you scroll through those on the chat bar?
I believe so. Let me make sure I've got it active here.
Okay.
Okay, let me see what we got here.
Someone asked what the first polling question was. The first polling question was a straightforward one about whether or not you've downloaded the PowerPoints and the Access or the Excel file. So just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page with those. And while you're looking through those questions, I will comment that as long as you've been logged in for 75 minutes, then the ball's in our court to get you credit. We're going to run our own Excel file using a macro. In case you're wondering how the magic gets done, we use Excel extensively on our side to analyze 2 reports, do vlookups, run a macro, and spit out a file that essentially indicates exactly how many credits you've earned based on a number of different if-then rules. We then upload it into our system, and there's a workflow trigger that sends you an email. None of the things that we do would be as efficient, or even, I would, in my estimation, possible without Excel. We're going to issue literally 1,000 credits within about an hour, and there's almost no manual process involved in it at all. Just an unbelievable tool that we're so grateful to be able to use every single day. But ball's in our court. We are going to get that credit out to you. It's going to send you an email to let you know your account's been updated. You could log into your account. You can print out the certificate, or you could just keep it there on hold. Just keep in mind you can also access the PowerPoint slides. You can go back and watch the video that way. You can fill out the proctor letter if you attended this class in a group setting, which I know a lot of you have. I want to guess at least 75 to 100 of you are sitting in a conference room right now somewhere around the country along with your colleagues, which I think is just awesome. Hopefully you're able to bounce ideas off of each other and come up with some time savings tools. But that proctor letter instantly gets you your CPE. The evaluation is required. We do want your feedback. We take it very seriously. It was very helpful that you responded to the question about which other courses would be a benefit to you. Telling us that you want the courses back, letting us know what you think is really the best way to get what you're looking for, and compliments will get you everywhere, and we certainly hope that Dennis is going to commit some more time to us in addition to the classes he already has on the calendar with us. Dennis, should I go back and make you presenter again?
Yeah, momentarily I'm not seeing that chat list, so if you could possibly read it, yeah, if you can first of all give me control back, and I'm not sure.
You know, there are perhaps too many questions for me to review given the late hour, and many of them you've addressed in part throughout. So if that is an issue, we might just want to hold off for now. And I mean, we have a lot of different questions covering a lot of different territory. I do think it would probably be best if you were able to scroll them. We otherwise might conclude the session for the afternoon and wind things down.
There's one other thing I might add too, that even though on-site training, some people think that's not as efficient, but you know, imagine today's presentation at a slightly slower pace with you in the audience pausing and asking questions at different times as I was doing things. You know, stop, hey, how'd you do that? That sort of thing. The give and take of a live session sometimes is really valuable. And today's session, if it were live, probably would have been a bit longer, maybe 2 hours, but imagine we could have gotten to other features and other functions and so on. So like a half-day session of just formulas and functions is a great tool for live learning. That give and take that you get in the live session is really helpful. I probably don't have to really explain that to most people, and I think a lot of people recognize that, you know, we learn in different ways, and both live sessions and webinars and, you know, online training. We've got, you know, quite a few different vehicles here, so it's worth considering those.
Excellent. Well, certainly hope that people will take that under consideration. Dennis, I did make you presenter. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to share on the screen.
My GoToWebinar right now has been it's been paused for some reason. I'm not sure why, and I can't get back into it. So.
Okay. All right. So with that said, we are going to wind things down. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, and hopefully we'll have you back on the line with us again starting on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.